It is 2025 and we have a lot of good books to look forward to this year. These are 25 of my most anticipated new book releases for 2025, sorted first by genre and then also by release date. So let's go ahead and just get into it. Starting off with literary fiction, first we have The Keeper by Charles Martin. This book comes out on April 1st. This is the fourth book in the Murphy Shepard series, which follows Murphy Shepard, and he has been for years rescuing people from human trafficking and just going on all of these adventures and quests to save others. And in this book specifically, it mentions that it involves a presidential candidate and how he kind of gets wrapped up in needing Murphy's help. And from reading the synopsis, I feel like it's giving me a little bit of a government show kind of vibe. Like, I loved watching Madam Secretary or Designated Survivor or something like that, where it's that suspense added in with the government politics kind of thing. It just sounds really like it will be very captivating and suspenseful, and I have just loved the other three books in this series, so I can't wait to read this one as well. Next we have Fun for the Whole Family by Jennifer E. Smith. This one comes out April 15th. And this one follows a group of 4 siblings who were really close growing up, but have kind of grown apart and lost touch over the years as they're now adults. And basically one of them, Jude, sends a text to the other 3 and says hey, we need to meet up. They meet up in North Dakota, I believe. And while they're there, Jude has these 3 secrets that all 3 of them change everything. I haven't really ever read anything like this, a sibling kind of drama before. I actually got an arc of this on NetGalley, so I'm planning to read it really soon before it comes out. And I feel like this will just be really probably emotional and also just captivating and lots of relational commentary and all of those things, and I'm just really excited to get to this one. And last but certainly not least, we have Frederik Backman's new book, My Friends. This book follows a group of 4 friends who have a really strong bond that it's so strong it changes a stranger's life 25 years later. So I believe one of the friends paints a painting of the other 3, and Louisa finds this painting and ends up going on this cross-country road trip to figure out the story behind the painting. If you've read any of Frederik Backman's books, you know that it's about what it says on the back of the book, and it's also about other things, and he always puts in these deeper meanings and beautiful quotes, and I'm just so excited to discover and unravel what this book is all about. Moving into a couple of historical fiction books, first we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one comes out June 3rd. And this one follows Joan, who is a physics professor, but she is joining this group of NASA's first women astronauts in the 1980s. And so she's making friends and all of these things. And then it says there's a fateful mission in 1984 that changes everything and forces her to confront her place in the universe. I personally have been reading a lot of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books lately. I've just really been enjoying them, but I've never read one of her historical fiction ones, so I'm really excited to hopefully pick this one up and see what I think. I'm very interested in learning more about the astronauts and the space program in the 80s and how these women astronauts kind of got integrated into that. And then on June 10th, we have The English Masterpiece by Catherine Ray. This is described as a thrilling art world mystery, and it's set in 1970s London. So our female main character, Lily, is working as an assistant for this woman who is managing a lot of art and collections for Britain. And on the night of this big exhibit they're opening for this new Picasso painting, Lily says that the painting is a forgery. And of course, this accusation threatens her career, her mentor that she's working for, her legacy, and just throws the art world up in arms. And she has to kind of go on this journey to figure out what the truth is. Like reading all historical fiction, I just love being able to learn about a time period and a topic that is not something that I typically experience. So I'm really excited to learn more about the art world and forgery and just all of those things in the art space. Now for a couple of fantasy. First we have The Rose Bargain coming out on February 4th. This one is described as The Cruel Prince Meets the Selection, and it's book 1 of a new alternate history romantasy duology. So I'm really excited about this one. This one follows Ivy, and in this world, every citizen gets to asks the queen for a bargain. And before her time to do this, they announced this big competition to win the heart of the prince, the queen's son. And behind this competition, though, there's something a little bit more dark and sinister. And so this one sounds so fun. I love a competition. I feel like a duology is the perfect length for a fantasy series. And there's a prince. I believe this is a fae world. It just sounds like a lot of good ingredients mixing to make a really great romantasy. Speaking of really great romantasy, we have the third book in the Powerless trilogy, Fearless by Lauren Roberts. So this is the third book after Powerless and then Reckless, and this book has been described as kind of Hunger Games-esque. There's a competition, it's a fantasy world, there's a king and a prince and all of that, and I'm so excited about this one. If you read Reckless, then you know the cliffhanger that it ended on, and I cannot wait to see what unfolds. And then finally for fantasy, we have Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer coming out on August 5th. This is the third book after Assistant to the Villain and Apprentice to the Villain, and I haven't read these yet, but they're on my winter TBR. I'm planning to read them very soon, and I'm so excited that after I finish them, I won't have to wait too long for the third book. I have a couple of dystopian. So first we have Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This one comes out March 18th. This is a Hunger Games book. It is the story of the Quarter Quell when they take double the tributes for the Hunger Games, and this specifically is Haymitch's Games, which if you've read the books, watched the movie, this is what the people have been waiting for. I'm so excited to read this, and I definitely want to reread the original books and prequel before this one comes out. And then we have Watch Me by Tahera Mafi. This is the new book that's like a spin-off series kind of the Shatter Me series. So I believe this one takes place like 10 years after the Shatter Me series ends. And I haven't read that series yet. It's been on my TBR for forever, and I'm putting it on my winter TBR, so I'm planning to read it soon. I especially want to try to get through it before this new book comes out because I'm excited to read this whole new series. I feel like I'm really going to enjoy it. I have 3 young adult books. So first we have While We're Young by K.L. Walther coming out on March 4th. This one follows 4 friends who have this epic senior skip day. It's a romance inspired by Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it's set in Philadelphia, I believe. So this is a no spice young adult romance. We also have Glorious Rivals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes coming out on July 29th. This is the second book in the new Grandest Games series. So this is a spin-off of the Inheritance games. It has some of the same characters, the Hawthorns from the Inheritance games appear in this series, but it has new POVs and new characters that you're following. And I really enjoyed the first one. I feel like the puzzles and the suspense and the characters is all just a very fun, fast-paced time, so I'm really excited for this new book. And then this one I don't have a lot of information about, but from Instagram I learned that Lynn Painter is releasing a new young adult hockey romance in October of this year. So I don't have a title, I just have this picture that I guess is part of the cover, but she did confirm this on Instagram, and I cannot wait to read this fall. Now for our final genre, which is romances. This list is a mix of closed door and not closed door books, but if you're looking specifically just for closed door, there are some on this list, but I also have a whole video I made of that if you are interested. So first we have Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams coming out on January 7th, which might already be out by the time I'm posting this video. This is the third book in her When in Rome series. It follows Jack and Emily, who are feuding second grade teachers, but also secret writers. And I am so excited for this book. I do want to note that most of her other books have been no spice or like one chapter of very skippable spice. I'm not completely sure on this one, but I read that this one does have more than her typical, so I just wanted to say that in case you are used to her books not having spice, this one might be a little different. Next, on January 28th, we have Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. I've never read a book by this author, but I am so excited about this one. This one follows Caleb and Sarah, and they're a young married couple who are just kind of having a rough patch in their marriage, and so they decide to go on this couple's like hiking trip to help like work on their problems. And I just love a story where the people are already together and they're working and fighting for their relationship. I just think that's so beautiful and so realistic. And so I'm so excited about this one. I think the outdoorsy aspect will be really fun, and I'm really excited to read one of this author's books. Then we have The Perfect Rom-Com by Melissa Ferguson. This one follows our female main character who goes to this kind of conference to see if she can get her manuscript picked up. And her pitch doesn't go very well, so she ends up kind of trading editing and writing work on the side for this agent to look and try to sell her manuscript. And I just love a book about writing. I think that it's so interesting, especially because writers write books, to just have a window into their world, especially if as a reader you are also an aspiring author. I just think it's so interesting. So I'm really excited about this one. I feel like it will be perfect right around Valentine's Day. This book is also closed door. Then on February 11th, we have Get Lost With You by Sophie Sullivan. This is the second book in her Rock Bottom Love series after Love Naturally. And this one is a small town second chance romance following Jillian, who is a single mom working with her brother at Get Lost Lodge. And then her brother hires this guy, Levi, to be the chef there. And this one sounds so fun, very outdoorsy. I love a second chance, and it's also closed door. On April 1st, we have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This book is about Xavier and Samantha, who have this long, epic first date, and then at the end of it, she's like, you just need to forget about me. I have too many issues. I can't do this right now. But they both just can't move on from what they shared. And Just for the Summer was one of my favorite, if not my favorite book I read in 2024. So I cannot wait to read this new book by Abby Jimenez. Then also in April, on April 22nd, we have Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. This book follows Alice and Hayden, who are both writers competing to write this biography of this scandalous kind of heiress named Margaret. And I feel like for Emily Henry, it's typical that she writes about writers. I feel like that's kind of a common theme in her novels. But I feel like this one also seems to have a different feel, with a little bit more literary, with this other woman that they're writing the biography about. So I'm really excited to see what Emily Henry does with this story. Then we have The Love Haters by Katherine Center coming out on May 20th. This book follows Kate, who is a video producer, and she gets this gig profiling a Coast Guard swimmer named Hutch, except she can't swim. And the back of the book says that this book includes helicopter flights and conga lines and hurricanes and stolen kisses and just so many fun beachy things. I feel like this will be the perfect summer beach read, and I am just such a huge Katherine Center fan. I cannot wait to read this book. And I believe this one also will be Closed Door No Spice. Also, Closed Door No Spice, we have It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan coming out on May 27th. This one follows our female main character, Jane, who was on a sitcom growing up, and now she's like a creative executive. She's working on this project, and she tells a little fib that she'll be able to get this famous guy, Jack, to write a song for her project, except she hasn't talked to him in like 20 years. So she ends up enlisting the help of this guy, Dan, to kind of help her get out of this conundrum that she put herself in. I'm just so excited about this one. I have loved all of the Annabelle Monaghan books that I've written. I feel like they're the perfect length. They're perfect for summer. They have a mix of kind of women's literary fiction with the romance, and I'm so excited to see what I think of this one. Then on June 10th, we have Everything's Coming Up Rosie by Courtney Walsh. This one follows Rosie, who is kind of struggling. She's lost her job and her apartment, and she's just kind of in one of those seasons where she doesn't know what to do next. And she ends up taking a job directing this regional theater production of Cinderella. Except when she gets there, she realizes that the place putting on the show is a retirement community. And so then she goes about doing this. I think there's some romance, there's some life lessons learned, and I have just loved everything I've read by Courtney Walsh, and the fact that this one also incorporates theater, I'm so excited to read this one. Also in June, on June 17th, we have Sounds Like Love by Ashley Posen. This is her new magical realism romance, and this one follows Joni, who is a songwriter. and she kind of has like writer's block. She goes home to North Carolina to try to find some inspiration, and it's not working until she hears this one melody in her head and ends up finding out that it belongs to this man. And I think they have some kind of like magical musical connection, and they have to try to finish the song together to try to break this connection. I don't completely know. It's magic. It's not supposed to be understood, but the magic being through like music and songs, I feel like will be so interesting. I am a huge fan of music. I grew up singing and all of that, so I have high hopes for this one. I hope that I love it. Then we have The Sands of Sea Blue Beach by Rachel Hawk. This one comes out on July 15th. And this one is closed door. It follows Emery, who moves back to her small town in Florida to be the editor-in-chief for this newspaper. And around the same time, Caleb comes back. He's an architect, and he's there to, I think, take care of his nephew and also lead this kind of historical society. So I believe this is a second chance kind of small beach town romance, and I've read a few of her books and really enjoyed them, and I feel like this one will be perfect for the summertime. And lastly, on August 5th, we have If All Else Sails by Emma St. Clair. This is an enemies to lovers romance that follows Josie, who was supposed to go on this trip with her brother, but he ends up canceling and kind of tricking her into helping his best friend Wyatt recover from this foot injury he had due to a hockey injury. And so she helps take care of him and finds out that he had these big plans to sail down the East Coast on the Intercoastal Waterway, and his injury obviously ruined those plans. So she decides they're going to go anyway. And I think this one just sounds so fun, them being on a boat together, sailing in the summer, and I feel like it'll just be the perfect summery read. Okay, and those are the 25 books that I am most excited about coming out in 2025. Let me know in the comments down below what book you are most excited about that's coming out this year. And I am planning on making an updated version of this list as we get more new release dates for the second half of the year. So definitely subscribe and stick around for that. And if you're interested specifically in closed door new releases for the new year, I'll have that video linked here as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, friends.